Hello and very good morning to all the attendees of Biotecnika's webinar. Hello everyone. Happy Saturday to everybody. All the students, can you hear me? All the subscribers of Biotecnika, am I audible? Can I have some quick responses in the chat box, please? Good morning everyone. Can I have some quick hellos around? I'm not getting any chats, any responses from students. Okay. All right. Thank you. And so welcome everyone for in this webinar. And this webinar, as you know, is powered by Biotecnika along with the collaboration with Manipal Institute of Regenerative Medicine. So today's topic, as you have seen, is about merging modern concepts of immunology and precision medicine in immunotherapeutics. Now, when we talk about immunology, so there are three concepts that we are going to talk about: immunology, precision medicine, and immunotherapeutics. So, we all know that this entire landscape of healthcare is a constantly evolving and innovating space, and there constant changes, constant innovations, and findings are going on to make human life better. So modern immunology, it provides us with detailed insights into the immune systems and mechanisms, and it helps us to identify new targets, immunological targets. And precision medicine can take this detailed insights that we have got by immunology to tailor healthcare approaches for individual genetics profiles, environmental factors, and personal health data. In this way, that is what is precision medicine all about. Now, this application of these concepts of immunotherapeutics has revolutionized treatment, especially in cancer. And also beyond oncology, these concepts are applicable for treatment of autoimmune diseases and various allergies as well. So, myself, Tithi, uh, faculty of Biotecnika, is going to be your host for another 1 hour. And with me, I have Dr. Jyothi Prasanna, who is the professor and dean of Manipal's Institute of Regenerative Medicine. And she'll be joining us shortly. Welcome, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Tithi.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us on a Saturday. It's an extreme pleasure to have you here and talk to you.
It's my pleasure too.
So all the attendees here for next 1 hour. So we have Dr. Jyothi Prasanna, and she is not only the dean in Manipal Institute of Regenerative Medicine. She is also the group head of Adult Stem Cell Group. She is the coordinator of MPhil in Regenerative Medicine and the academic coordinator in Indo-Sri Lankan Joint Program for MSc in Stem Cells and Regenerative Medicine. And ma'am will be guiding us about the various innovations, various findings, various challenges that are happening and overcoming, people researchers are overcoming in this field of immunotherapeutics. And all the students, you are more than welcome to shoot your questions. You can ask ma'am your questions, and she will be more than happy to answer it. So everyone, get set, get ready, and let's start our session today. So, ma'am, I would like to ask you. uh, how this modern immunology is integrating precision medicine to enhance immunotherapeutic approaches. So, can you please put some light on this?
Okay. Uh, Maybe a decade or two before, immunology was thought of as a separate field. You had biochemistry, you have cell biology, and you have biotechnology, right? So, with time, science has become more and more interdisciplinary, where you have to merge, thanks to all the developments in genome engineering, the CRISPR Cas9 technology, the CAR T cell technology. So, it's very, very important to understand disease in a very interdisciplinary perspective. What is precision medicine? So initially, the previous era of therapeutics were, like, for example, I'll give a very raw example: a drug, a drug which is used for treating TB, for example. The same thing is given to a cohort of people, but each individual is different, the age is different, their genetic background is different, the response to drugs are different. So obviously there is a need of personalized medicine, which is very, very important. Like, for example, tumor evolution, the tumor evolution or tumorogenesis in different individuals could be different. So uh, you can't have a broad therapeutic regimen to a large population. So that's where we at Manipal Institute of Regenerative Medicine are thinking of using stem cell solutions which are specific to the individual as a platform, a drug discovery platform for specific individuals. And now you might ask, like, where does immunology come here, right? So, thanks to the inventions of Jim Allison and the Tokyo Group, the 2018 Nobel Prize was on checkpoint blockade therapy. Now we know that tumors can be cured using a immunotherapeutic regimen. But is it true for all kind of tumors? Can all kind of tumors be treated by an immune therapy? For that, you need to know the tumor landscape in a patient specific manner. For example, the tumor is attracting the immune system, but the immune system is hijacked, then you can use a immunotherapeutic regimen. In case the tumor is cold, by cold I mean to say that it doesn't attract the immune system, or whether it is a desert kind of tumor. When I say a desert kind of tumor, the tumor core doesn't have immune component, but the boundary of it has immune components. So the strategy which should be used is to break this barrier, allow the immune system to enter, and then think of a immune therapeutic option, right? So making the cold tumor hot and then using an immune therapeutic regimen. So it's very, very important that when a tumor biopsy is taken from a patient, is it a hot tumor? Is it a cold tumor? Is it a desert tumor? Based on that, you have to model your therapeutic regimen. So, all the, maybe, like, for example, if you talk about oral cancer, right? Uh, Depending upon the histopathological scoring, especially from an immunological perspective, you can tell whether an immune therapeutic regimen will work for this patient or not, or you need an adjuvant therapy to make the immune therapy more effective. So that's where medicine should be precise for that individual. Even if it's, for example, I'm just taking a very raw example because oral cancer is what I work on. So even within oral cancer, you can have different cohorts of immune landscapes, and the research which is being done right now is to
I think ma'am's internet connection has got unstable. So, so students, I'm very sure that will be rectified soon, and ma'am will join us very soon. So till that time, yes. So you can hear what ma'am was saying and the advances that she was introducing us, right? So they are just amazing. Is it not? So this is actually giving you guys more time to join our exciting webinar here. So what amazing things she was all talking about, right? The various types of cancers. So far we were just categorizing cancer as oral cancer, stomach cancer, intestine cancer, depending on the tissue where the cancer is happening. But because of the modern immunological aspects within that tissue cancer, also there are different classes of cancers. And right now the research is going on in that direction, where we can classify the different types of cancers which are there, and then that all can be treated separately. Okay, so that basically brings us to the merging of modern immunology with precision medicine. And there in precision medicine, not only like we are identifying the cancers separately, we are also trying to come up with a healthcare regimen which will be specific for the patient. So basically, with that, the target is to maximize the help of cancer. Okay, and sorry, maximize the effect of the medicine on cancer and reduce the side effects. Okay, so yes, all the attendees here, Jyothi ma'am had joined, and there's some connection issue, and that's why she has got disconnected. She is joining, and
I
I'm
think,
just waiting for her to join back.
am I audible, Tithi?
Yes,
Now?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now you are audible.
I think it was a disconnect with the power.
Yeah, that happens, ma'am. It's okay. So, ma'am, you can continue. You were telling about the various oral cancer and how the
Yeah,
different
so
tissue profiles are there.
so just having an immune therapy, a common kind of immune therapy for even within oral cancer itself would not be prudent. You need to merge the immunological knowledge as to how the immune landscape of the tumor is, and then design your immune therapy accordingly, right? So it's an era where you have to design therapeutic regimens for different diseases in a very personalized manner, depending upon how the disease progresses, what is the pathological manifestations, what are the mechanism. So it's not all shoes, the same shoe fits everybody, right? So that is true for even in context of immune therapies and medicines in general.
Yes, that's right, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, ma'am,
Yeah.
what are the research projects like in this direction? Is there any research projects that you are working on, or is it going on in your institute right now?
Yeah, so with respect to me, I am collaborating with KLE Dental Hospital and Shankara Cancer Center to look at oral cancer, where uh, we are looking at pre-malignant lesions and obvious oral carcinomas and compare them with uh, normal biopsies and see how the immune landscape is changing and why is it so. Because even within the tumor microenvironment, there are micro niches. Where do the is it that the immune system is being attracted to the niche, it is not being attracted to the niche? Is there stromal conditioning which allows certain tumor infiltrating lymphocytes to come in, but others are not being attracted, but they are attracted to the immune niche, but the tumor niche, but they are being hijacked? What is the immune landscape in pre-malignant lesions versus the obvious carcinomas? The oral carcinomas is what we are looking at. And is there any correlation with, for example, there are 3 or 4 conditions which form under the oral pre-malignant lesion category. Oral submucosal fibrosis, you have oral leukoplakia, you have oral erythroplakia, and then you have a silent condition like the lichen planus, right? So in all these, some have greater propensity to basically evolve to an obvious oral carcinomas. So is it that the immune landscape of different tumors are different, and is there any relationship between tumor progression with the immune landscape is what we are actually looking at, and it is the PhD thesis work of one of my students. So this is one of the example which I am telling, like how the microenvironment of the tumor would help us design novel therapeutics. right? So initially people used to think of immune system as non-self recognition, and the fact that in general knowledge people think immunology is about infection, whether it is a viral infection or a bacterial infection, and how our body reacts to it. But immunology is not just about that, it is about recognizing damage, right? And the damage can be from anywhere. The damage can be because of an infection from a bug, or it could be because the cells have modified and the so-called self antigens have been converted into non-self. Right? They no longer remain self. Like for example, tumors, they are modified cells. Virally infected cells, they are modified cells. Okay, and if a niche has too much of apoptosis going on, right, for example in chronic degenerative diseases, there is again sterile inflammation created in the niche. So using immunotherapeutics beyond infection for degenerative diseases, for metabolic diseases, for which have a strong component of sterile inflammation, and even for cancer, has now has become the general trend. Yeah.
Yeah. So, ma'am, the research work that you were talking about. So, basically, once you have identified those characters, so you can even identify like which are the lesions which has the higher potential of becoming cancer. So, you can start the treatment in the early stages, or it can be designed. Is it like that, ma'am?
Yes, yes, yes. So when a patient comes to the clinic, he has a lesion in his oral cavity. For example, I'm just giving the example of oral cavity. You don't know under what category it is. So you take a biopsy and you categorize them as leukoplakia or erythroplakia or a cusp of the two, or lichen planus or oral submucosal fibrosis. But you don't know whether this patient would actually develop over the time into an obvious carcinoma. There have been correlative studies which have been published that probably the rate of progression to OSCC is different in the different pre-malignant lesions. But is it to do with the immune landscape? Right? Is it
Yeah.
in some of the pre-malignant lesions, the immune system is functional. So that's why the lesion is controlled and the cells are taken care of. There is no progression to cancer carcinogenesis. But in some cases, the immune system is hijacked and the progression rate, the immune system is hijacked, and therefore the progression rate is higher. So can we get information from this before we decide our treatment strategy? For
Yeah.
example, if the immune system is hijacked, okay, can we use a checkpoint blockade therapy, right?
Right.
So the immune system is hijacked because the immune system is kept in check by the tumor.
Correct.
So, if you block the checkpoint, you can elicit an immune response to the tumor. So, in that case, will checkpoint blockage therapy work or not? Of course, clinical trials have to be designed to check these concepts, but preliminary understanding the immune surveillance mechanisms of the tumor will help us design these strategies.
Yeah, so more we know about them, then only we can develop plans to overcome this all this the
Yes,
tumor
yes.
strategies that it is trying to like shut down our immune system.
Yeah, because all of us have so many benign tumors in our body, but we don't end up having cancer, right? So cells
Yeah.
are modified due to different stresses. We don't live with the cells which we are born with, but our immune system takes care of it,
Yeah,
right? But
that's
when
right.
the immune surveillance mechanisms fail, that is when they develop into obvious tumors. So
Okay.
immune
So, ma'am,
therapeutics is now a reality. Yeah.
yeah. So, ma'am, the next thing that I would like to ask, like you said that in your research work, you are collaborating with a dental hospital. So, ma'am, what are the challenges that you are facing in this process of research, like in terms of data availability or in terms of analysis? What kind of challenges are you facing?
The main challenge is to get all the people together, to be very frank, because if you want to have a correlative analysis, you need to have a huge set of data, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that huge set of data should be put it in a statistically significant manner. Ultimately, if you want to categorize them as to you want to use this data for a prognosis or an indicator, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
then you need to actually have integration of machine learning and AI based tools. I'll tell you why. For example, the immune landscape is in a particular way, then it progresses more based upon the correlative data. So can we use it for every person who comes to the clinic, develop this AI machine learning based models based upon the knowledge of this landscape, and predict and give a diagnosis report to the patient? So this requires interdisciplinary expertise of an immunologist, histopathologist, a clinician, a researcher, and probably somebody who has knowledge of AI and machine learning. And so we are at our institute try to get an amalgamation of all these concepts to come to a more conclusive decision as to like whether immunotherapeutics would be a reality. Are they really scalable in the clinical side, or like what it is required from going from the bench fundamental research to translation? And that's why we have a course which is called as translational immunology, where we are merging the modern concepts of immunology, the fundamental concept of immunology, to precision medicine. So when we are talking about precision medicine, the first question which you asked was what is precision medicine? So one thing is personalized medicine. The other is precision medicine. For example, there is a genetic component involved in a particular disease. For example, let us talk about an autoimmune disease, right? And you know the genetic component involved. So you can either use stem cell technologies to model the disease, or you can use genome engineering tools to create the mutation in a normal cell and study how the mutation in this mutational background in comparison to an isogenic control, how is it behaving? So precision medicine is about combining different fields together in understanding of a disease. I'm only giving you an example of a genetic disease.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, ma'am, actually, that was going to be one of my question that right now we see everywhere there is AI. There is some or the other integration of artificial intelligence, machine learning, like bioscience, like it was like 2 decades ago, we could separate the topics. The thing that you started our webinar, that now everything has become interdisciplinary and there has to be merge between the different components of science, and then only we'll be able to see the bigger picture and come up with the new innovative researches. So, ma'am, in a case of AI and ML, like, your institute is working with AI, ML, and trying to create a data set and trying to analyze them for better understanding and better outcomes.
Yes, 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 yes. Especially with respect to tumor grading, this would be some of the projects which we would be interested in. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, to be very, I mean, not only what we are doing in the institute, if you take some lessons from what happened during the COVID wave, initially
Hmm.
people didn't know whether the vaccine would work or not. They would not know like whether the virus is mutating, what is happening, would the vaccines work or not, how would be the disease spread, would what is the dimensions of the pandemic with respect to the scale and all. But by the time we reached the third wave, we knew that we can tackle, because the viral evolution is so and so. Okay. And still our vaccines would confer protection. So the spread of it, the herd immunity, and the
Yes.
evolution of the virus, okay, was mathematically modeled, and we could actually predict whether the vaccine will work or not. We had limited knowledge during the first and the second wave, but by the time we came to the third, and I don't know how many Greek letters were there in the waves, right? Omicron, Delta,
Yeah.
etc., etc. But
All
by
the
the
various
time we came to
variants. Yeah.
gave, we knew how to handle it. How do you think it is possible? One thing is we developed a herd immunity, that is definitely, but in combination with vaccination strategies. But we could predict the spread of the disease,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So all that was possible with interdisciplinary approaches. There were mathematicians involved. There was machine learning involved, where we could feed the data and see how the spread would be, right? So
Yeah.
definitely, of course, we need to have a very interdisciplinary knowledge to answer these questions. And I personally feel that science has to reach the people from bench to bedside, and that's where translation is very important, right? So a
That.
merger of fundamental concepts with application and how to translate it to the clinic is important, and courses should be designed towards that, so that students are primed in thinking at least in that direction.
Yes, yes. So, ma'am, I personally feel that is one of the biggest challenge right now in the education field, that still we know that, like, in PhD thesis or in postdoctoral research, we know that yes, the science has become interdisciplinary now, but still when the basic course is designed, it is still very, very different. Like, the people who are studying AI/ML, they will not have any idea or any background on life science, although it is applicable in life science also as much as it is applicable in any other field. So
Yes, yes, yes,
this kind of we have to think in this direction, where we can generate interdisciplinary courses from the very root level.
yes, yes. So that has been always the motive in all the master level courses in Manipal Institute of Regenerative Medicine, where the master levels are master students. For example, if you talk about the translational immunology course, it has 4 modules. The first module will be the fundamental concepts of immunology. The second concepts would be concepts of regeneration. Regeneration, how does a liver regenerate? Why is it that the brain has lesser regenerative capacity? Is it to do because tissue niches have immune components, right? Which now it is highly being appreciated that they just, especially the innate immune components, they are not just involved in protection of the tissue against infection, but they are also very, very important in maintaining tissue homeostasis. So there is a strong crosstalk between the stem cells in the tissue with that of the innate immune components. For example, Kupffer cells in the liver, microglial cells in the brain. So these are innate immune components which are functionally orchestrated to have specific roles in the tissue, and these, and by using ablation experiments, people have shown that tissue integrity is actually compromised if you do not have these components, or if these components, or there is dysfunction or deregulation in these components. So when we are talking about degenerative diseases, probably understanding this interface is very, very important to aid regeneration in these niches. Yeah.
Yes. So, ma'am, actually,
For
one very important, very, yeah, ma'am, please
yeah.
continue.
No, no. For example, if you talk about Parkinson's disease, it's a chronic progressive disease. For example, brain inflammation is considered to be very bad, right? So, transition to Alzheimer's, transition to Parkinson's, for example, Alzheimer's disease, there is a strong component of immune gene related polymorphism associated with propensity to Alzheimer's. So, if we know these, can we prevent aging related diseases? So, there is a strong interlink between the immune system and regeneration in niches. So, this is the second concept where we will take examples from different niches, including ranging from Drosophila to other model systems, whether we can learn how organ development is integrated with the innate immune system development, right? And now all of us know the gut immune, the brain axis, right? Your immunity is dependent on gut health. So what
Yeah.
is this interface, right? So now we are not looking at a single cell or an organ, we are looking at the physiome in context of interactions. So the second module will is basically focused on these aspects. And the third module is more focused on different degenerative diseases, including neurodegenerative diseases, cancer, because oncoimmunology is a huge focus, which we are going to
Mhm.
talk about in the course module. And then vaccine strategies, immunotherapeutic strategies, what are CAR T cells, how can CAR T cells be used. So the third and the fourth modules of this course curriculum are completely application oriented modules with respect to can immune therapies or can the immune system tweaked to sort of help in elevation of a particular disease condition. So it's very tricky that the immune system can be a double-edged sword, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, it can be in favor of the host or it can go against the host. For example,
Mhm.
taking a very simple example, COVID. All of us know about COVID, right? So the vaccine worked, the immune system has to react to the infection. So after a while, probably the viral load will come down. But
Mm.
people were having problems because of the cytokine storm. The
Yeah.
response was so
So
much
strong.
that it led to other problems, right?
Yeah.
So the second line of treatment was how do you actually take care of the cytokine storm, and that's where the anti-IL-6 antibodies and all those things came into clinic. So
Yeah.
clearly, the immune therapeutic strategies were modeled based on two aspects. One is how do you actually curb the viral load? That was the
Mm.
vaccination strategy. And the other was how do you curb the hyper excited immune system, right? You need to
Mm.
have a
Right.
balance and you need to know what kind of therapeutic remedy you will use at different time points of the disease. So it is very,
Right.
that's where I'm telling about precision medicine. Right. Whether an anti-inflammatory regimen should be given or not, if the viral load is too high,
Mm.
it's probably, you have to tackle both, right? So it
Yeah.
requires a very patient-specific approach. So all these concepts now, like I had talked about tumor immune surveillance mechanisms, right? So the tumor immune surveillance is because the tumor is continuously hijacking the immune system, right? By changing its antigens or trying to attenuate the immune system. So the CAR T cell therapy is a very revolutionary therapy where
Mm.
the negative co-stimulation is blunted and the positive co-stimulatory aspects the of the T cell response are exaggerated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the CAR T cell is an engineered cell, right?
Cell. Yeah.
Which has a chimeric antigen receptor. So it again requires an integration of genome engineering, knowledge of immunology, right? And knowledge of cell biology, because we need to know how cells interact with each
Right.
other. And
Yeah. Correct.
that will be our prime concept, which we are going to deal with in the course, the translational immunology course. So translational immunology is the need of the day for several
Mm.
diseases, and there needs to be much more research in this field. So it has to
Yeah.
be started from the grassroots level where people start thinking in an interdisciplinary manner to ask
Correct.
questions which are of relevance to the society and the healthcare, right?
Yeah.
And then probably start having a research impetus, develop a research based thinking to address this concept. So the second year of the program actually has a complete research project. The first year would be the modules and the first semester would be the module. The second semester is to pick up a pick up a concept, work towards that, look at what is the need in the healthcare industry, in the R&D setups, and then hone a project around that, and then work on it for a complete 1.5 year. And if it is basically to catch them young, to catch the
Mm.
students young, hone them towards this kind of research bent, and also program them to think in an applicative manner and have a combination of both basic and fundamental research with modern concepts, and then see if it can be of some benefit to the
Mm.
healthcare settings.
Thank you so much, fam, for giving such a great idea and like explaining the course to us. And actually, I was interested, and I already wanted to ask you. Like, I have seen the course; it says MSc in Translational Immunology by research. So I wanted to ask, what is this by research mean? So you have already explained that. Thank you, ma'am. So I understand that it is more like by research means literally by research. It is not just one semester of doing a project. It's like
It's
inculcating that
three
need
semesters
of
of
doing.
project work. It's three
Okay.
semesters of project work. The first semester is rigorous, where fundamental and modern concepts of immunology along with diseases are taught, and then the student basically picks an elective. For example, the student wants to study tumor immunology or oncoimmunology, so he or she will select an elective on oncoimmunology, oncotherapeutics, and work on that, right?
Okay.
Identify a problem and then work
Mm-hmm.
on it for 1.5 years. Apart from that, we also have an industry components because there are several immunotherapeutic companies blooming around. So they
Mm-hmm.
would also require manpower who are trained in that. So we are going to work closely with these setups, healthcare setups also, and define our programs, work towards that. And if the student is interested, they can actually continue their PhD.
Okay. So, ma'am, like the students who are doing the projects in MSc, so will they be doing it like in house in MIRM, or they are allotted to different industries, as you were saying?
Yeah, so the first semester is a theoretical concepts as well in amalgamated with attaining the practical skill set to do all these, right? So it's a more technique based module, the first, for example, where you will have dedicated cutting edge technology training in the first module. The second semester, they have to define, they have to choose whether they would be interested in working on biofilms, whether they would be interested in working on cancer, whether they are interested in working on neuroinflammation, neurodegeneration, right? Or they would be interested in working in chronic metabolic diseases like diabetes, which also has a very strong immune component. And then they will define uh, their interest by doing experiments. So they will define that problem. So
Mm-hmm.
based upon their theoretical and practical experience, they would be able to pick up a problem which would be interesting to them, and they will do some pilot experiments with the PIs who are there in Manipal Institute of Regenerative Medicine. And then, depending on how the project goes, because all the principal investigators in MIRM have collaborations. Like, for example, if you talk, I have collaborations with Shankara Hospital, KLE, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like that, all others have collaborations with Unilever. We are signing an MOU with Encure. So these are all immune therapeutic companies. So
Mm-hmm.
projects can be designed along with the PI with somebody who is also working in either in the industry or in the healthcare setup or other eminent institutes like IIC or NCBS or abroad too, because we do have international collaboration. So a part of the work can be done in the campus and the part can be done somewhere else. So it
Okay.
depends on like how the objectives are modeled. For example, objective one, objective two, objective three. For example, a student is interested in looking at the histopathological features of a cancer. So that will be objective one, which can be done here. The second is try some drugs which could probably, what are the drugs which are routinely used? Okay, those do they affect cancer stem cells? That would be the second part, right? That they can do it
Yeah.
in conjunction with industry. So
Okay.
as the depending upon the projects, definitely collaborations. You can do project partly in house and partly outside too. So it gives you a good admixture of you also get to have a taste of what the PI in house is doing and also get exposure outside. So
Yeah.
the second semester, it is mandatory to do it in house because the PI has to model the project, right? The student is not yet trained. But in the third semester, then they can do it in collaboration with somebody. so they can go
Okay. So
out
third and
to an
fourth term.
industry and work for a part. So that actually enhances their employability, and it also gives them clarity as to what they would like to do future in their career.
Hmm. Yes,
Whether
definitely.
they are interested in an industry R&D, or they want to go into core fundamental research, or they want
Hmm.
to actually get into a part of a clinical research team which is working on therapeutics. So the decision would be theirs basically.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we
So,
have
ma'am,
expertise. Yeah.
huh. So, ma'am, I'm very sure like we will be having very many students who will be really interested for the course. So, ma'am, what is the like? Does MIRM conduct any entrance exam for a selection of the candidates, or what kind of background knowledge, like what kind of graduation level knowledge should the students have to apply for these courses?
So basically, we have a very, very heterogeneous crowd. Anybody from a biotechnology background, from a life science background, from a paramedical background, a pharmacy background, MBBS, BDS background, all these can apply to our courses, right?
Okay.
And somebody who has a life science background. Basically, biotechnology is also life sciences, right?
Hmm.
Pharmacy, they can apply. Even MBBS and BDS people, there is a huge interest from this cohort of people also in our courses, especially translational immunology. Yes.
So, ma'am, it is like a master's course. So, just having like 10 plus 2 plus 3. So, that will be the minimum requirement in life sciences for getting admission in
Yes,
this
yes.
master.
Of course,
Okay.
people from an agricultural background can't apply
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah. So, I was actually thinking about what about
somebody,
the botany people like who have done graduation in botany or pure science, and then now they want to shift to this.
if they have a combination of zoology, it is fine.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
like
Right.
botany, zoology, and so they should. It should not be just plant biology. It should
Uh,
have some component of animal biology and cell biology also.
correct.
Physiology is fine. Microbiology is fine. Biomedical engineering is fine. Biotechnology is fine. BTech
Hmm.
biotechnology, BSc biotechnology, all this is fine.
Okay.
So the process is like, you they have to probably apply for the program. They have to go to the website, and then we don't believe in pen and paper exam because that doesn't allow us to assess the students. Our assessment criteria is very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
There would be a rigorous interview process where different questions would be posed, and
Hmm.
looking at their approach to the questions
Okay.
and their interest for the field, right?
Okay.
What is their aptitude? What is their grasp? How do they, because it's a research oriented course, right? There is no one
Hmm.
answer to a question. So our grading pattern is very different. So the enrollment is based upon a rigorous interview.
Interview. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and of course there is a minimum qualification criteria like uh, 30% weightage, 25 to 30% weightage is given to the qualifying exam marks because you should be of a particular academic level to sort of
Mm-hmm.
get enrolled into the course, but 70% uh, marks of scoring is based upon your performance in the interview, a rigorous interview.
Okay, okay, okay. So, ma'am, so what will be the benefits that are provided to the students who are going to opt for these MIRM courses, like in perspective to career development or any kind of internship that MIRM is going to provide?
Yeah, yeah. So we have MOUs with companies. We have signed MOUs with companies which are related to the field, and our students will go for summer internships and short term training programs to understand the needs of the industry and the healthcare setup. Before this is after the second semester. I was just telling you, right? The second
Yeah.
semester is when they model their project.
Uh-huh.
So going for 2 weeks or so would give them a sort of a flavor as to what are they actually interested in, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the real life problems, and then they come back and choose their project, model their project accordingly. So this is
Okay.
in the second year. So there is an industry connect program in the second
Okay.
semester itself, right? So there are internship, and then the project, as I told you previously also, that we have collaborations with the industry and the academia, India and abroad, and the projects are co-modeled along with an industry expert or any other PI from other institutions also, and then they get exposure to everything.
Yeah. So all the listeners here, so you all heard from ma'am right away that what all qualifications you need, what all background knowledges you need so that you can apply for this amazing course. And also ma'am told you that along with the course you will get some internships also, you get the chance to work in some prestige universities as well as in prestige industries where you can do your summer internships and get a hack of the industry, how the things are getting done there. So, now, ma'am, I would like just want to come back to precision and personalized medicine once again. So, just I have a question
Yeah.
that we read about personalized medicine or precision medicine so much, and so much work and research is going on in the foreign market in foreign countries. So, ma'am, what is the scope of this in India? Like, what are the institutes? Can you just let us know about some of the institutes or some of the hospitals who are working in this direction of developing precision medicine? And like what do you predict, where will this precision medicine scenario be in another 5 years or 10 years?
Precision medicine is going to be the way forward in the next decade for sure. And now with every hospital having a strong R&D setup, and even premier institutes like ISC, they are starting a clinical wing, right, where they are honing medicals towards research, medicos towards research. I'm sure, like, although it's a new concept in India, in the West, it's very common that every practitioner doctor also has a functioning lab, right?
Hmm.
So, R&D is going to be the way forward. It's not
Yeah.
like one drug works for all. So there would be in hospital setups, healthcare setups, there will be a bunch of clinical researchers, there will be fundamental researchers, there will be people working on stem cells, people who have a research component right from their masters
Hmm.
would be higher, right? So things are definitely going to change because you have oncotherapeutic division in every cancer hospital, right? This is
Hmm.
the way forward,
Yes.
and they can't do it alone. They have to do it with researchers. So definitely, the community of
Hmm.
translational biologists, translational biology is going to merge all these people and make them sit across to come up with solutions. And it's
Yeah.
high time we do that. And that's also one of the prerogative in MIRM, is to merge all these concepts together towards application and translation, and basically hone a young generation who can think in that direction, because that
Yes.
is the way forward with respect to in
Hmm.
5 years, that these are the people who would be well sort of. So very well start young, hone them when they are young towards that direction,
Hmm.
and so these people would be the future leaders who have integrated all these concepts from the grassroots level.
Yeah. So, ma'am, actually, Manipal Institute of Regenerative Medicine, like you guys have come up with all these courses which are merging the gap between education and industry, and that is what like Biotecnika also
Yes.
works in this direction to merge the gap between education and industry. And I'm sure that more institute, definitely we will need more institutes who can come up with this kind of merging courses where the students are not feeling lost even after completing MSc. Half of the students, they don't know in which direction to go, they don't know which kind of career to pursue.
So that is what we have a revolutionary learning process in MIRM. Like when we were young and we used to sit in a classroom which was like 40 to 50 students, and the instructor comes, write something on the board, and you just read Lineager and pass, right? But learning is basically more experiential than
Yeah.
memory based. So, what we are
Hmm.
trying to impart in MIRM is to give students an experience. and then ask them to decide what they are interested in rather than telling what is already there. Now in a generation where you have Google, you have Chat GPT, information is available everywhere. If you want
Yeah.
to read on
Hmm.
anything. If you say write an essay on mitochondria, Chat GPT will nicely give an essay, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
can you isolate mitochondria, right?
Hmm.
How do you study mitochondrial diseases? That is experience, which you can get only on the desk. So
Hmm.
our emphasis here in MIRM is experiential learning. Our
Okay.
assessment is also continuous assessment, where a class, you have a theory class in the morning, but the experiments related to the theory are shown in the evening. So the
Hmm.
advantage of that is, like, you learn the concepts in the class, but you also apply it and see it on the desk,
Hmm.
right? And that actually helps you develop those concepts and develop interest in the field.
Yeah, and definitely to understand the concept better, because now you are doing it experimentally to see that this is what you were reading in pen and paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So the
ma'am.
students have complete freedom. The students have the complete freedom to ask their
Hmm.
questions. So if they have a question, in for example, in the translational immunology program, MSc by research program, they think like quorum sensing is an important aspect of biofilm formation, and if you can disrupt the sensing mechanism, then you can disrupt the biofilm, and the student has a concept on that. So he can actually design his experiments during his research project accordingly. And we are here to facilitate them own their thought processes so they can pick what they want to and go deep in that.
Correct, correct, correct. So, ma'am, like, what is the do you have any set number of seats for each of these courses, or it is decided on the basis of the interview?
So the MSc by research courses, so MSc by translational immunology has only 10 seats. So
Okay.
after 10, because it's an MSc by research program, and we want to pick up talent, right, from people who are interested, who have a research aptitude, are the ones who will be picked. It is not necessarily marks based when we are
Hmm.
screening. That's why I said the interview is the deciding
Interview
factor.
is important.
That's
Yeah.
choosing. So after 10, we don't take, because we give individual attention. So there are as many number of PIs who are capable of taking the student, that many students are taken.
Hmm.
Like for example, there are 10 PIs who can offer those programs. It's 10 students who are taken. So it's like personalized attention. So one student is allocated to one PI who will ask, for example, a PI who is working on biofilms. And if a student is interested in doing research in biofilms, he or she will be allocated to that PI and would be mentored very closely by the PI for a duration of 1.5 years.
Yes,
So it
that's
is
right.
personalized mentoring of the
Yes.
students. So that's why the MSc by research programs, we don't take more than 10 students. Even our stem cell biology program has only 30 seats. So we don't,
Okay.
because it requires so much of attention from the PI. It requires, we
Mm-hmm.
give a hands-on, a
Hmm.
personalized hands-on experience.
I think ma'am's internet is stuck. So yes, listeners, I was about to tell you all that you heard from ma'am that if you are interested in this MSc by research courses, which are amazing, if you really want to work in oncology, if you want to work in immunology, if you want to work or do your innovative research in precision and personalized medicine, so yes, MIRM will be the place to join. But you heard that only 10 seats are available in those courses, so you have to develop. So if you are interested, please go ahead, visit the MIRM website and apply for the courses and develop your research capabilities. Okay, start thinking like a researcher, prepare for your interview, and then you can very well join these courses, which will be amazing if you are thinking about pursuing a career in this field. I'm very sure ma'am will be joining soon. So, all the students in that time, I would like to tell you that if you people have any more questions about MIRM or the courses they provide, or any kind of questions that you want to ask us, you can definitely ask us through info@biotecnika.org. Everyone, you can write down the email ID info@biotecnika.org. You can write an email to us, and if you are interested to know more on MIRM, or you can visit their website and get the full idea about the courses and the subjects and the campuses that they have, and what will be the process for selection. So let's just wait for a couple of more minutes. I'm very sure ma'am must be trying to join in.
There is a power problem in our locality. So,
Yeah, ma'am. So we have ma'am back.
yeah,
So, ma'am, we are almost up with the time, and thank you so much for joining back. So,
yeah.
ma'am, I would definitely like to hear some last words of advice from you for the students who want to join this field of immunology and immunotherapeutics.
Please, if anybody is interested in this field, in this exciting field, um, emerging infections, how to tackle antibiotic resistance, these are all real pressing problems which the world is facing now, right? Especially thanks to the Nobel Prize, oncotherapeutics is now impinging on immunological answers to tumors. So definitely, this is a way forward for not only just cancer oncotherapeutics, but also as a cure for different degenerative diseases. So understanding the applicative and translational aspects of immunology is going to have a huge is going to make a huge difference in the healthcare industry, and understanding autoimmune diseases, degenerative diseases, and neuroinflammatory diseases. So people who are interested in the field, who are interested to make a difference through their research, they should definitely opt for this program. So we are there to mentor them very closely, nurture their dreams, nurture their interest, and help them carve a career in this direction.
Thank you, ma'am. So, as much as I want to keep continue talking to you, but I really know that you are in a tight schedule, and thank you so much once again for taking out time to talk to all our listeners and having this chat for 1 hour on a weekend. I really understand your commitment. Thank you so much, ma'am. And definitely, what all directions that you have given and what all suggestions that you have told us is very much enlightening to me and all the listeners of Biotecnika. Thank you so much, ma'am. And like, we are honored to have you here.
Yeah. Thank you, Titi. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. And thank you so much, all the
Good day. Have
listeners,
a
for
nice day.
joining us. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. and all the listeners of Biotecnika. So this is me, Tithi, signing off now. And if you have more questions on MIRM courses or want to know more about the recent immunological advances, please write to us in info@biotechnica.org, and we will be coming more with ma'am and other guests in this kind of webinars, and enlightening you with the recent and the innovative researches that are going on in this field. Thank you, everyone. Have a happy weekend.